Richie Rich Show.
Hey YouTube, what's going on everybody? How's everybody doing? It's Trucker Richie Rich here. Ones and twos, baby. We're going to talk a little bit. Talk about a few things today. My last video, the driver's wife kind of went viral with my Hirschbach video, and that driver's wife reached out. I actually found him on TikTok, and I commented, but he never responded. So I'm pretty sure he's probably letting it go. I don't think I said anything wrong. I was just talking about the industry in whole. I wasn't talking about his particular situation. I was just pointing it out. So I don't know. Okay. Let's talk about this. I just got some news from a buddy of mine that works over at Stevens Transport. A lot of these mega carriers out here hired a bunch of, they're legal aliens, but asylum seekers, guys who went and got their work visas and stuff, and now they're paying the consequences of those actions. A fleet manager at Stevens just told me that one of his drivers was arrested down in Brownsville. Immigration didn't even let him finish his food in the microwave. Okay, they snatched him out of the truck out of Brownsville area. I guess there's a checkpoint down there, and he had a load and everything. And they towed the truck up to, I think, Houston or something like that. Immigration did, and they charged Stevens $7,000 to get it back. So it looks like the day of reckoning has finally approached. Now, I normally don't talk political on this channel because it's all, my lessons in life will always stay away from sexuality, religion, and political stuff, right? But I have to really say that the Trump administration is really doing something about truckers now, and I like it. I'm not gonna lie. As you guys know, trucking has been bad for at least 5 years, and during those 5 years, during Biden's regime, they let everybody in this country. I remember watching CNN and looking at the immigrants coming from the Darien Gap down in South America through Mexico, and all I saw was military-age men. And what I'm talking about is between the ages of 15 and 50. Okay, I didn't see a lot of women and children, but just a lot of men. And what do you think most of those men did? They came to this country, and a lot of them jumped in trucks, especially the Punjabi Indian ones. I mean, I saw everybody coming into it, And I'm gonna tell you something, that did erode the industry. Now, what happened to Stevens is not the only thing, the only mega carrier that happened to. That happened to Swift, CR England, and actually, I'm going to upload a video that I was sent of a Mexican truck driver running from the state police in South Carolina. He wouldn't stop, he wouldn't pull over, he was running from the state police. I have to say, they're cracking down on this stuff right now. And I ain't gonna lie, I like it. So, I'm gonna tell you something. Give it about a year, okay? Rates are gonna start coming up. All that cheap freight that's being hauled out of Florida, that's gonna come to an end probably, okay? Because they've been using the system down in Florida for decades, okay? By using those cheap Cuban and foreign nationals down there who haul freight out of Florida. There's no reason any load should ever pay 25 or 50 cents a mile, ever. Okay, that's totally taking advantage of the situation. And Tropicana is a known perpetrator of that. Okay, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. Normally what we used to get, just like about 2 years ago when those truckers went up there to the Capitol and they protested around the Beltway. They blocked traffic off, and then they drove their rigs down to the Department of Transportation, and they got the secretary out during Biden's administration, and she said she was going to make changes, and nothing ever happened. Trump is playing by a different animal today, and I like it. Okay, Hopefully that puts some money back into our pockets, because a lot of these guys out here are doing some very unscrupulous things. There's a YouTuber that I follow religiously, and actually I'm glad he's doing better. He had open heart surgery, which is something serious, and I'm talking about Tim Travels. If you guys like my content, you'll love his content. He's more articulate than I am, and he tells the history and stuff, and we chat from time to time, especially if we see something crazy. But his latest video, what he said about punishing these companies that took advantage of that, I wholeheartedly believe, and I think everything he said was 100% accurate. And I think I'm going to try to link his video to mine. I told him I would do that. So in case you guys don't know who I'm talking about, you can see towards the end of this video. But what he said in that video was 100% true, okay? These companies have been taking advantage of cheap labor. And hey, listen, now the government's cracking down on it. And when they start getting claims for $100,000 and $200,000 on their loads, then they'll start hiring qualified American truck drivers, okay? So I don't know, guys. I think things are changing, and I'm hoping within the next year we really start seeing a big difference from these policies. I know they're very hard to look at. I'm not going to lie to you. They're very, very hard to look at. Let me cut this thing off. Hold on, guys. Got this APU running. There we go. Got my APU. Got to turn it off. It's kind of loud. I know that's very hard to look at, seeing those immigrants go to court and getting snatched out of there. I mean, that's hard to look at, okay? Seeing what's going on in LA and Florida and New York, even though I'm for law and order, I never want to see somebody snatched up like that. Speaking on the trucker that I'm talking about, the Stevens trucker, so basically what happened to him and the fleet manager, me and him are cool because we know each other from back in the day, but he started as a driver and he became a fleet manager. But what happened to him is that they snatched him up. Now, the guy lived in Utah, okay? But he's Mexican. He's a Mexican national. Immigration snatched him out of the truck. And even though he had his papers, right, they still deported him. His family's trying to get a lawyer now to get him back in the country, but that's not going to happen. And he is deported. He was deported within 2 weeks back to southern Mexico. Okay, Trump is not playing. He's not. He's deporting people with even legal papers. And what the fleet manager told me is that he claimed asylum, right? And what's happening now is a lot of government officials are going back on those asylum claims, and they're saying they're BS, which they are. There's only a handful of countries in the world that really have political asylum tensions that you can be like, yeah, like somebody from North Korea, yeah, somebody from Venezuela, possibly, yeah, from very depression regimes, okay? Not even Cubans are under any kind of depression. I mean, they have a communist country, yeah, but they're not under torture and all like that. So a lot of people use the term, asylum seekers to gain access to the country, and the government's going back and saying that's hogwash. I mean, you have people from India claiming asylum, and there's nothing going over there other than the religious sectors. They are receiving some violence towards religion sectors, but as a whole, it is not what you think. So, Biden opened the floodgates and screwed the working man, which is us, okay, the labor force. So I'm happy that, and I hate to say, it almost reminds me of the oppression and the heartache that African Americans went through in this country, in the early parts of this country. Slave catching. It kind of reminds you of that. Now I understand how my ancestors might have felt. Do you know what I mean? Because it looks like that. Being caught, but they're thrown back out of the country. I mean, at least they're not thrown back into slavery, right? But it just shows you that a lot of people came here just for our resources. And, hopefully our government can safeguard that from us. I mean, listen, I'm an American through and through, through and through. And I do believe people should come here legally and seek better opportunities. But what happened, with Biden's administration, that was just nasty. I mean, that was just horrible. He let everybody in this country. I got friends who are from South America who recently got their visas denied, and they're professionals down there. They're lawyers and doctors and nurses, and Trump is not letting anybody in this country. Which you know what, coming to America should be a privilege only reserved for the few. So I understand, but the video I'm about to upload, guys, is a trucker running from state police. My man told me that after a while, they blocked the highway off there on 85. They stop him. So I'm going to tell you something, guys. You're going to start seeing a whole lot more people crash out, okay? Because they're snatching truckers out of the trucks, and they're sending them home, okay? They're putting them in detention centers, and they're getting them out of this country quickly. And I have little mixed feelings, but I like it. I ain't going to lie. We got to safeguard our money. So after that video uploads, I'm going to see if I can upload Tim Travel's video. Like I said, what he said was extremely informative. Okay, I think what the solution and the problematic thing he said was spot on. So anyway, peace and love, y'all, and be safe and keep your eyes look out, man. You're gonna start seeing people crash out, man. I'm talking truck drivers. You're gonna see the stress because a lot of these foreigners are going to be racially profiled. They just are. Florida right now is stopping every foreigner coming into their country, and they're running them. Okay. Look, I hate to profit off of somebody else's misery, man, but it is what it is. Anyway, peace and love, man. We'll talk soon. Peace. Okay, here you go. Yep, this is the Mexican or Spanish guy who looked like wouldn't stop on 85. He was running from the police. Down the road, they actually stopped him by 5 other trucks. My buddy said that there was a blocked the traffic off for about an hour. But yeah, check that out. He was going rabbit. So you guys be careful out there.